Hey guys, so as you see from the title, I had a stroke. Appreciate every day because you never know. You can be here one day and gone the next. And if they had not gotten me in as quick as they did, I would either be dead right now or have severe permanent damage to my body. A week ago, this past Monday night, I had a stroke and I did not know I was having a stroke. My husband knew something was wrong, but he didn't know what it was. And he called the ambulance. They came and took me to my local hospital, and then they ran a test and made the decision to transfer me to a different hospital that was more equipped to deal with the situation. And so they brought me to the other hospital, which is, in my opinion, bigger and better. Um, I live in a small city, and the other hospital was in a big city. And so once I got there, they ran some more tests, and then they did a thrombectomy, which is when they put a wire in your groin and they thread it up to where the clot is, which in my case was in my brain. And they removed a large clot. And fortunately, they did everything quick enough that the end result was good. I was in the hospital for only 2 days, which is not very long. They kept telling me that I was recovering quicker than anybody that they could remember in quite some time, as far as regaining the use of my um, coordination. After I had the stroke, I could not move the fingers on my left hand at all. Like they were telling me, make an index finger and point, and I couldn't because even though my brain was telling my finger to do that, I couldn't do it. Well, by the second day, not only was I doing that, but I was able to touch every finger to each other. One of the tests that they keep doing to you is to touch, they put their hand up and put up their index finger, and then they want you to touch their index finger. And the first day I wasn't able to do that. And so my coordination just kept getting better, and I was really lucky. And so the second day they let me go home. And at first I was very weak and I had zero energy. And they told me that I wouldn't have been able to go home if I didn't live with someone, but of course I live with my husband. And he was afraid to leave me alone when he went back to work. So my mom came over and stayed with me um, while he was at work. Because if you have a stroke, there's a big likelihood that you may have another one within the first couple of weeks after you have your stroke. And so my mom came over and stayed with me every day that my husband went to work. And today is the first day that I asked her if I could just be on my own today, because when you're used to being by yourself all the time and then somebody's with you constantly, nothing against my mom, but it can get kind of annoying because she is my mom. So she would always be trying to recommend things to me that I wouldn't necessarily want to do. And so I was getting kind of upset yesterday. And stress is one of the things that can cause a stroke. So I didn't want to have another stroke. So I told her that I just wanted her to stay home today. But I do appreciate her coming over and keeping an eye on me while my husband was at work, because it made me have a little bit more peace of mind. And so as far as the cause of the stroke, apparently I have what they call webbing in my carotid artery. One of my carotid arteries. It is an extremely rare condition that only happens to less than 1% of the population. So it's like a genetic defect that you're born with. And inside the carotid artery, there's like a little extension coming off of the inside of the artery that goes in, and it's made out of like the same material that your artery is made out of, and it narrows my artery. And I asked for the exact percentage because I wanted to know, and my artery is being narrowed by 40%. So that means that there's still 60% where the blood can flow through. And they wanted me to schedule another surgery and correct the defect. Well, I started doing research on my own, and it's a very dangerous operation, and a lot can go wrong. You can either have another stroke on the operating table, or you can have a heart attack. And oh, by the way, my cholesterol level, I found out from the blood test that they were running, is very high. So now I am on a blood thinner to help prevent future strokes. And I am also on cholesterol lowering drug to try to lower my cholesterol. And I already had a pretty healthy diet prior to the stroke. As a matter of fact, I never felt so good in my whole life as right before I had the stroke. I remember telling my husband a couple days before how great I felt because I had lost 10 pounds and I had changed my diet. And so, no matter how many changes you make in your diet, you can always do better. So even though I'm on a statin drug now, I still am going to make some more changes in my diet and switch to low-fat versions of some of the things that I eat. And I need to drink more water because that's very important. And I know I wasn't drinking enough water. So now I'm going to actually monitor how much water I'm drinking. We can't drink the water that comes out of our sink. We used to filter it, but we can't even do that anymore because the quality of the water is so bad that now we have to buy all our water. We've had to do that for the last couple of years. And so what I'm going to start doing is when I wake up in the morning, the first bottle of water that I open, I'm going to put the number 1 on it. And then I'll know as the day goes on, every time I open a bottle, I'll put what number bottle that is. That way, at the end of the day, I will know how many bottles I've drank. So, yeah, I'm increasing my water intake, switching to low-fat versions of things that I was using that were full fat. The hardest thing is going to be giving up cream in my coffee. I'm going to switch to skim milk. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start heating up a little bit of skim milk, and I'm going to make lattes. And I know I was drinking way too much coffee before, so I'm going to limit myself to 2 cups first thing in the morning, and that's it. That's all I'm going to have for the whole day, because coffee is not bad for you, but too much coffee is not great for your blood pressure. And I went to primary care physician the other day, and my blood pressure was a little high. It wasn't high at the hospital, and considering everything I had been through, it's a miracle that it wasn't high. But my blood pressure was within normal range the whole time I was in the hospital. But then when I went to the primary care physician, it was a little high. And so I know one of the ways that I can make that go down is to cut back on what I had been drinking for coffee and drink more water. And I told her that I think the only reason why my blood pressure was high was because we were discussing the surgery that they had recommended when I was in the hospital. And I explained to her why I was nervous about it and that I wasn't even sure if I should have it because they admitted that the people at the hospital admitted that there was a possibility that I may never have another stroke, but they said that to up my odds that I should have that surgery to correct the defect in the carotid artery. And it was their opinion that it was the defect in the carotid artery that had caused the stroke in the first place. But I'm not convinced of that because something happened about an hour prior to the stroke that made me think that it may have actually been something else. I've had a lot of issues throughout my life with getting sharp pains in my feet or my legs when I'm sleeping. And because I'm a side sleeper, I think what I've been doing my whole life is putting one leg on top of the other and cutting off the circulation to whichever leg is on the bottom, just because of the position of my legs. So, what I have started doing in the last few days is using, I don't know if you've ever seen them, but they make these special pillows that can go between your knees. It fits perfectly between your knees for side sleepers. And I've started using one of those. And since I've had no issues with pains in my feet or my legs since I started using it. In my opinion, I think what happened as far as the stroke goes is I think I had a blood clot in my foot and it traveled up my legs, went through my body, and got all the way to my brain. And the reason why I think that is because an hour before I had the stroke, I had a sharp pain in my right foot. And I got out of bed and went in and went to the bathroom because what I have found in the past is that if I get up and move around, it will make the blood flow in my legs. So I got up and went to the bathroom, and then on my way back to the bathroom, the pain in my foot was so excruciating that I thought I was going to pass out. So I sat down on the edge of the bed and waited to see if it was going to subside. And I was so tired, I was half awake and half asleep, so I don't really remember if it subsided or not. But I laid down and I was going to go back to sleep, but then my sinuses started bothering me, so I wanted to blow my nose, but I was so out of it that I couldn't reach the Kleenex box when I leaned over. Excuse me. And that's when my husband started talking to me, and he said, "Hey, what's the matter? What are you doing over there?" I said, "I'm trying to reach the Kleenex box and I can't reach it." He said, "Oh, don't worry about it." He said, "I'll get it for you." And he started talking to me, and I started slurring my words. And he said that I was doing some things that didn't make any sense to him. And he put the light on and he looked at me and he started talking to me, and he immediately knew that something was wrong, but he wasn't really sure what. So he actually called my mom and told her what was happening. And she said, "Call an ambulance. Don't try and figure it out. Call an ambulance right away. Let them figure it out." So that's what he did. And they brought me to the hospital, and I already told you the rest of the story. So the reason why I'm telling you this part of the story is because I didn't know what was happening. You can be having a stroke and not know you're having a stroke. That's why it's good for people around you to know the warning signs. And the warning signs are loss of coordination, balance, one side of your face drooping, loss of muscle control and weakness, and there's a bunch of other things. I strongly suggest you look it up for yourself just in case you or someone you love ever has a stroke. But I didn't know there was a problem, and I was so out of it. If I had been alone, I don't think I would have been able to call for help for myself. Because here's another important thing that a lot of you probably don't know is I used to have a landline phone, and now all I have is a cell phone. My husband and I both have cell phones. But 911 only works with landline phones, because if you call 911 from a cell phone, they're going to ask you to tell them specific information. And if you can't speak, that could end up killing you if you can't give them that information. Whereas if you have a landline phone and you can't speak, you can use the touchpad to answer questions. But we got rid of our landline phone because it just seemed crazy to have 3 phones in the house, when I didn't feel as if we needed that many, because we both have cell phones. But anyways, so obviously my husband was able to give them the information they needed, and they got here quickly, and you know the rest. Prior to having this stroke, I wanted to start making videos once in a while. My channel is no longer monetized, because if you don't keep making videos and keep getting views, they demonetize your channel and you more or less have to start all over again. They said that I could reapply, but I don't really care whether it's monetized or not because I never really made that much from the videos anyway. So if I do videos in the future, it's just going to be for fun. But there's a lot of you out there that are very kind and caring, and I just wanted to let everybody know what happened. And so I have a whole bunch of doctor's appointments scheduled now with all different kinds of doctors at different places because you have to do all these follow-ups and everything. And believe it or not, when this happened, I did not have a primary care physician. I do now, but getting one was awful. I had to spend 6 hours on the phone calling tons of different places, and everybody kept saying, we're not accepting new patients at this time. So I ended up calling some different places to ask for referrals, and one of the places I called gave me the name and number of somebody where I could get an appointment. And I was really lucky because I love my primary care physician that I just got. She's awesome. And I felt very comfortable talking to her. And she didn't rush me out. She just let me ask her as many questions as I wanted to and take as much time as I needed because she understood my concern about the surgery. And unfortunately, she's going to be going out on maternity leave in another week and be out for 3 months. So somebody will be covering for her while she's gone. So I'm going to have to see them until she gets back. But I'm just glad that when she does get back, I'm going to have somebody that I like, that I'm comfortable with. So hopefully I'll make out okay with the person that's covering for her. But at least I'll have somebody that I can go to in the meantime. And I'm also going to be going to have a follow-up at the hospital that I went to, that I was in for 2 days. And they want to see me too and see how I'm doing. And so I guess that's it, you guys. That's the whole story. But feeling a lot better now. And I still have some bruises and stuff that have to heal from having the procedure that I had and getting banged around a little bit from, being transferred from the ambulance to a gurney and then a gurney to another gurney to have testing done. And it's amazing all the bumps and bruises that you get just from things like that. And then I still have bruises from all the blood work that they did because when you're in the hospital, they're constantly doing blood work. There's one of the bruises that I got from blood work that I had done. And then I have a really huge bruise on my leg, but it's not at the site where they inserted the wire. They put a wire in there that has like a vacuum on it. And they thread it all the way up to your brain and suck the clot out with a small vacuum. And I'm on 2 medications now that I've never been on in my life. And in order to do the procedure, they put me on a couple of medications that I had never been on before. And I did have a reaction to those, but that's all out of my system now. But I threw up in the hospital, and I think it's because those drugs were just... I have a lot of issues with medications not agreeing with me. But the medications that I'm on right now, I have to take those for prevention. But if I really want to do preventative measures, it's going to have to be that surgery. And everything I've read about it scares the hell out of me. So I haven't made up my mind yet whether I'm going to have the surgery or not. But there's no time limit. I can think about it as long as I need to. And they keep reaching out to me, though, to try to get me to schedule it. But I'm still not sure what I want to do. But right now, I'm just trying to get my life back. I'm trying to do all the things that I used to do prior to the stroke. So I might make some videos in the near future. And because I still love makeup, and I've been buying makeup the last few months. And so I kind of still want to come on and do some makeup videos and talk about it. And if anything's going on health-wise, I can always give you a health update if you're interested. But I'll let you go because this ended up being a longer video than I anticipated. But that's it for today then. And I'm not sure when I'll see you again, but I'm feeling so much better now. And thanks for watching and listening. And I'll see you next time.